Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trending Topics. My name is Joni Rampolla, one of the registered licensed dietitians with Giant and Martin's. And today, since it is the month of November and we have Thanksgiving right around the corner, we are talking about turkey and sides simplified. So for Trending Topics, I definitely want to do this class. My peer, other dietitian, Shayna, she calls me the Thanksgiving Day Queen because every year for the last 15 years, I host between 30 and 40 people for Thanksgiving. So I have lots of ideas, lots of tips, and it is my absolute favorite holiday. All right. So Thanksgiving doesn't have to mean exhaustion or overspending, no matter how many people um, you feed. So I am launching a poll, and these are all traditional items for Thanksgiving. But what is the one dish that has to be on your Thanksgiving Day table? And everybody has something different. And I just thought this was funny because I learned my son's favorite. I think it was 2 years ago when somebody said to me, I always make like this traditional meal. And somebody said, oh, can I bring a green bean casserole? So instead of my traditional green beans, I went, sure, bring your green bean casserole. And my son's like, Mom, you're getting rid of my favorite dish, your green beans with almonds. Never knew that was a favorite dish. So turkey is what most people say. Oh, dressing is a close second. Wow. Interesting. There is 8 or 9 people that said green beans. Yay, you. And pumpkin pie. So I'm going to end the poll now, but turkey is definitely the winner. And I will share the results with you for a minute. So yes, turkey, some say creamy potatoes, a couple say green beans, some say the stuffing, and about 16 people say pumpkin pie. So interesting. So I'm doing this presentation to help you feel confident preparing a delicious, budget-friendly Thanksgiving meal with minimum stress and hopefully maximum enjoyment. So that turkey, our center stage. Frozen turkeys, no matter which one you buy, are pretty much a good price the month of November. Like it's a great time to buy them. And at your Giant or Martin stores, you can get a free turkey with 400 choice points. How do you get choice points? Of course, you can get it from buying certain things in store, but coming to our classes, right? I mean, if you attend 8 classes this month, you get pretty much a free turkey. So that's pretty awesome. And if you don't eat turkey, it could be $1 off a ham or free Stouffer side or tofurkey. There are other things as well. When you think about turkey, if I'm having a smaller gathering, I might want to simplify cooking, like use a roasting bag or foil tent to keep in the moisture and help clean up. I don't know if you've ever heard of spatchcocking. It's all over social media. And to me, it works better. I do like a 30-pound turkey. So to me, this is overwhelming, but a smaller turkey, it cooks faster and evenly. And that is a picture of it below. So what it is you remove the spine. So you cut on both sides of the spine of the turkey and you actually take out that bone and then mash the breast down so it lays flat. And when it does that, the skin everywhere becomes crispy. And where, if it sits upright normally with the full breasts, you have places the whole underside isn't crispy. And then also it cooks more evenly. So that's just thought. You may want to look up some spatchcocking recipes. Um, and then season simply: olive oil, herbs, salt, pepper, citrus slices. To me, you don't need fancy ingredients for an amazing tasting turkey. And then there are sides. Many sides steal the show. If I'm planning a smaller event, I choose 3 or 4 sides, and I like to include family favorites. So sometimes it would be, I know if I make mac and cheese, even though that's not traditional, 100% of it's going to be gone, right? Like know who your audience is and what they love, even if it's not on the traditional Thanksgiving menu. I also like to blend fresh along with convenience. So I'll use some frozen veggies or bag salad or pre-cut fruit, or always pre-cut onions if onions are an ingredient in anything. I never cut my own onions. Um, and think about just what are the colors, what are the flavors, what are the textures, right? You don't want everything creamy or, one color throughout. Try and get a variety, get that feast for the eyes as well as the flavors that taste delicious. Balance some heavier entrees with something lighter. So there are so many comfort food carbs, as I call them, your mashed potatoes, your stuffing, creamy soups, but add some veggie sides, a fresh salad, a warm broth soup can kind of round out the heavier dishes on the table. And I like to, because I serve a lot of people and I make a lot of different dishes, I like to use all my kitchen tools. Timing is important to get everything to come out at one time. So if I know my turkey's going to be in the oven for hours, how do I plan all my other sides getting done? A lot of it I'll do ahead of time, but can I use the stovetop or a slow cooker or a toaster oven or an air fryer? What other methods can I use if my oven is occupied? So think about your space and what you can do. All right. Here are my 5 turkey tips for someone that's cooked lots of turkeys. You gotta thaw it properly, right? Even if it feels squishy on the outside, if the center is still frozen, it's not going to cook evenly. It's going to take too long to cook. So recommended is 24 hours for every 4 to 5 pounds of turkey, and you're thawing it in your refrigerator. So that's days, right? It's days that is thawing. So you have to plan to buy your turkey early, especially the larger ones. How much to purchase? Typically 1 pound of turkey per person works, up to 2 pounds, depending on who your audience is. Or I always do 2 pounds because I love leftovers. And my kids love leftovers. So I plan to have a little bit of leftovers, so I do it that way, but 1 pound usually works for people. A lot of people do a wet brine, which can be very delicious, and does add moisture to the turkey, but wet brine adds sodium and sugar to the turkey as well. So one year I tried a wet brine and I didn't want to use sugar, so I used apple cider as my sweetener, and that actually came out good. But I find dry brine I like much more. So you do what works for you, but dry brine, I use 3/4 of a teaspoon of kosher salt and 1/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder per pound of turkey. The baking powder is used because it makes the skin really nice and crisp up. And then whatever your favorite herbs or spices. So I use some poultry seasoning and some rotisserie chicken seasoning on top of that. But you add whatever herb spices you like. And then I like to fill the cavity with what I call aromatics. So it could be an onion and garlic, some fresh herbs. My grandfather used to do, which I still do most of the time, a whole apple cut up, a whole orange cut up, and stick with the skin on and everything, just stick that in the cavity. And it adds moisture and sweetness to the turkey meat and comes out really, really good. Then put all the herbs and spices on top of the turkey. A little bit of olive oil and then all the herbs and spices, maybe some, you know, orange slices on the top as well. And it gives the turkey just a really awesome flavor. So main tips, thawing it properly, but then also before you carve it, your turkey's got to sit. It has to sit to let all those juices redistribute. If you cut it right when it gets out of the oven, you're going to lose all the juice and then have a drier turkey. So that is my best turkey tips. Food safety. So when thawing the turkey, just things to think about. Where do you place in the refrigerator? On the top shelf or on the bottom? Always, always, always on the bottom. You don't want other food underneath your turkey because if it drips, any raw poultry is considered contaminated, right? So you don't want it dripping on other items. Should you wash a turkey prior to cooking? And this is the same with chicken. There's nothing wrong with washing it, right? That may be a good thing, but generally the rule is do not wash a turkey or chicken. And that is because when you do, little splashes of water hit the bird and fly onto other things, fly on a dish that's sitting nearby, fly onto a vegetable. And that again can lead to contamination. So don't wash a bird. Do you take the temperature of the bird to assure it's done? Oh, the skin looks crispy. I think it's done. Nope. You gotta get that temperature. At what temperature is the bird done? If you're checking the breast of the bird, 165 degrees. The breast of the bird needs to be 165 degrees. If I stick the thermometer in the thigh, the leg portion, it should be a little bit higher than that, up to 175 degrees. But yes, you need to use a meat thermometer for turkey. All right, handling leftovers, right? Because we don't want that waste. So handle your leftovers wisely. Refrigerate leftovers within 2 hours of serving. Use within 3 to 4 days your leftovers, or pops them in the freezer. I like to pre-portion and pop it in the freezer, and depending on what kind of container it's in, it can last 2 to 6 months frozen. And then you could take it out, repurpose it in your sandwiches or wraps, in your soup. I always make a soup because I love just cooking the bones down. I'll do that the day after, cook the bones down, make a soup, or stick the turkey meat in stir fries or grain bowls. And to me, cooking once and having several meals or eating twice is like a favorite trick. All right, let's talk about individual ingredients. Sweet potatoes, going to give you some simple prep ideas, right? They're naturally sweet, they're rich in fiber, they have some vitamin A in them, which is awesome, good source there. So you want to roast them. You can slice or cube them, toss with olive oil, cinnamon, drizzle of maple syrup. Delicious. You can mash them. You boil the potatoes, mash them, a little bit of orange juice, a little bit of butter, nutmeg. Delicious. I often use muffin tins, depending on my crowd. Spoon the mashed potato into muffin tins, top with a toasted pecan or one even mini marshmallow, right? It's not that marshmallow goop. Get a little portion control twist. And then I do have some recipes in here that are just ideas for you. So I wanted to find guiding star rated recipes for some of the different common items. So here is one for a brown sugar sweet potato that does have butter, sugar, pumpkin pie spice, which gives it awesome sweet flavor, and the walnuts. So the link is over there too. If I'm using regular potatoes, people love them on their table because they're creamy, they're comforting, they're adaptable to almost any flavor. You can do your classic mashed, boil them, mash them, a bit of milk. And instead of butter, I like to use olive oil or even Greek yogurt. It gives them the same thick consistency, but a little bit less saturated fat. You can roast potatoes instead of mashing them. Cut them, toss them with olive oil, add your seasoning, roast at like 425 until they're golden. If you hate peeling potatoes, you can use those little baby potatoes, like the red potatoes. You can still make mashed potatoes, and there's no peeling needed. And then here's two guiding stars. So for those, just to clarify with guiding star, if it earns 1 star, it's good nutrition value. 2 stars, better nutrition value. 3 stars, best nutrition value. And many of the recipes on our Savory website, where these are all from, do earn guiding stars. So this is a smashed red potato with buttermilk and olive oil. Got that garlic and chive flavor going on, and it earns 2 guiding stars. So just another idea for you to think about. Green beans, another simple prep idea. They're light, they're fresh, they're good counterbalance to heavy dishes. You can steam them. my favorite way to eat them after they're cooked, whether they're roasted or steamed or in a skillet, any way you cook them. I do a little lemon zest and some toasted almonds, and they seem to be well liked at my household gathering. But you can roast them on a sheet pan, toss with olive oil, garlic, salt, or you can just do them in a skillet, olive oil, shallots, however you like to season them. And then here's a recipe for those that like green bean casserole with that um, cream of mushroom soup. So this is a recipe, but it earns a guiding star, where most of the green bean casserole recipes would not earn a guiding star. So here is one that does. You could see the ingredients. It's green beans, baby bella mushrooms, garlic, that fat-free cream of mushroom soup, some reduced fat milk, Parmesan cheese, breadcrumbs. So just ideas that maybe you want to try for this holiday season. Corn is another one. I feel like corn is one of those kid-friendly vegetables. It's kind of nostalgic. It adds a little sweetness. My husband's favorite thing is he likes plain corn, so we always just kind of do plain corn, and he puts it in his mashed potatoes. Gotta have corn in mashed potatoes. I don't get it. I think it's weird, but it's his favorite thing. So corn is always plain in my house. So I didn't do a corn recipe, but some people do um, like a cream corn or corn and other vegetables, but you can cook it in a skillet, whether it's frozen or canned. You can roast corn. Most people don't roast corn that I'm aware of, but it is a good way to do it. It add that smoky paprika, some lime juice, makes it good. Get a little char to your corn. You can just microwave in the bag like this. And then when you take it out of the bag, add your topping like garlic powder or Parmesan cheese. So corn is a great addition to the table, especially if you're like my husband and you got to mix it in the mashed potatoes. And then other popular vegetables are carrots and Brussels sprouts. Carrots, honey roasted tends to be a favorite. You can toss baby carrots with olive oil and honey, roast at 400 degrees till caramelized. Give it a little savory twist with cumin and feta on top. Or you can use your skillet with a splash of orange juice and thyme. Brussels sprouts is one of my Thanksgiving Day favorites. I have them, toss them with olive oil. Salt is one, and to me, Brussels sprouts just need salt. It just makes their flavor so much better. I usually don't salt any other vegetable, but I do Brussels sprouts. To me, it's a game changer with them. And you roast them until they're crispy. When they come out and they are fully roasted, I tend to add a drizzle of balsamic glaze. So you could buy balsamic glaze in the store already made in a bottle, or you can make it yourself, which is balsamic vinegar with a little bit of sugar added to it. And then I add dried cranberries, a little bit of chopped pecans, and a sprinkle of feta in there too. And I will say my Brussels sprouts, 100% of the time, go. Or you can shred Brussels sprouts, saute them with any flavoring you like garlic, squeeze a lemon. So some great ideas to have a beautiful Thanksgiving table. Here is a recipe that earns 2 guiding stars that actually has honey in it. Sometimes the added sugar of honey makes it not earn a star, but this earns 2 guiding stars, and it's a hot honey. So you got that crushed red pepper in there. Um, and then some vinegar-based hot sauce in there. So there's the heat along with the honey for the sweet. Makes a really nice dish. And then broccoli and cauliflower, right? Like to me, broccoli and cauliflower is generally liked by most people. Um, Roasting it is the most popular way. Olive oil, salt, pepper, whatever seasoning you like. Roast until it gets that nice little char on it. Some people like that cheesy casserole with the steamed broccoli or cauliflower, a little bit of cheese sauce, breadcrumbs. Or you can even mash it. Some people mash cauliflower and mix it in with their potatoes, or use it as a separate substitute to a mashed potato. So lots of ideas there. And then I just got a recipe for herb roasted cauliflower. This earns 2 guiding stars. And I like the mixture of parsley, fresh mint, fresh dill, and a little bit of lemon juice. Gives it that refreshing flavor. And then salad. I always have salad on my table. It adds freshness, crunched, balances out rich food, but I choose a lot of sides because I have a lot of people at my house. Again, only pick 3, 4 if you don't have a lot of people coming to your house. So sometimes I'll do the traditional Caesar salad or Greek salad. I love this lettuce, the greenhouse grown Nature's Promise lettuce is one of my favorites. But for this holiday, I often do a harvest salad, where I take this lettuce and I'll add in little sliced apples, dried cranberries, walnuts, and a sprinkle of feta. Or I'll take a bag of rainbow slaw, toss it in with the lettuce, add a lemon vinaigrette dressing, some Parmesan. And no matter what kind of salad you're making, I have it all ready to go except the dressing, right? You don't want to put anything wet in there ahead of time until you're actually putting it on the table. So I keep mine in a container that I can add the dressing, shake, and then throw it in the bowl. I'm not going to go through this whole list one by one, but we get asked a lot about what kind of herbs or spices do you think would go well with this kind of vegetable? So I just made a chart. These are things I like. There's no wrong answer, right? If you like different seasonings, like add your different seasonings. There's no right, there's no wrong. Green beans. If you go over to the right side, roast with olive oil, sprinkle with lemon zest before serving. That's one of my favorite. I also add almonds to it, but just that, plain straight up green bean. If it's carrots, roast with olive oil, sprinkle with cinnamon, even a little bit of honey, as we just saw, right? You could do lots of things different ways. Sweet potatoes, one of my favorite things with sweet potatoes, probably not for Thanksgiving, but in general, I take vanilla Greek yogurt, add a little pumpkin pie spice seasoning to it, mix it up and mix that in my sweet potato. And that just it tastes like pumpkin pie. It's so good. But these were just to give you some ideas of what to do. Mashed potatoes, again, I tried to use herbs or spices that are common around the Thanksgiving holiday, sage and nutmeg and cinnamon and thyme and parsley and garlic. I love lemon zest or even orange zest in some things, but try to pick some of the common vegetables. But you do you. These are just to give you some ideas, and you will get the PDF of this presentation to have these. And then these are just some tips that I have in general. So if I'm roasting potatoes and green beans and broccoli, I stick them all on a sheet pan. I usually do it the day before. The day before Thanksgiving, I roast everything, so I don't need that in the oven. And then I refrigerate them once they're cooled, put them in the refrigerator so that the day of, I'm just warming them. So I can warm them in the toaster oven, in the microwave, in a skillet, whatever I seem to have available way to keep them warm. But I try and make it simple and roast them all together. I have an olive oil spray for roasting. It just adds a light olive oil portion, not a heavy dump, and helps. You need that spray to keep your seasoning to stick. And then frozen and canned count. Don't rule them out, right? Sometimes frozen vegetables or canned vegetables just makes your dish a little bit easier. And then add herbs and spices for that holiday aroma, makes the house smell really amazing. Fresh herbs and those warming spices also help you cut down on salt, sugar, fat, while adding that depth and aroma that make vegetables feel gourmet with very little effort. And I love leftovers. I sometimes plan for them. So reinvent your leftovers. What can you do with that extra turkey or extra whatever you have? So I am famous for the day after Thanksgiving, my breakfast hash. And I literally put whatever I have left. It could be turkey, potatoes, stuffing, cranberry sauce, whatever is left. I throw it in a skillet and then I crack my eggs, beat them, and put the eggs on top and call it breakfast hash. Mix it all up. Everybody loves it. Breakfast hash at my house the day after Thanksgiving. I have a lot of out-of-town relatives, and that's what we do. Just something fun. Stuffing a sweet potato, I love that too. Like the turkey, the broccoli, put a little cheese on top, whatever, if you have gravy left over, cranberry sauce, you could throw it all in on top of a sweet potato. Anything left over that you want to keep for a future time, portion it, stick in the freezer. And I think of leftovers as tomorrow's time saver for sure. You want to stay connected to our team. So we have Feature Friday tomorrow at 12. Jenna's talking about grapes from California. On Monday, you get me again, Flyer to Fork, and I'm doing something really fun. And then Tuesday, Produce Spotlight at 12, butternut squash with Shayna. The best ingredient in any Thanksgiving meal is gratitude. I love to be thankful for the food, thankful for the people that share it with me, and thankful for those lives I touch. So thank you, everybody. Take care. If you want to stay on, I will answer your questions that were placed in Q&A. Thank you so much for being here with me. Very much appreciate it, and take care.